And you won't win 7 without a drop kick somewhere in your mix.
Yeah. I thought I thought he needed to have a go at it. I mean, I remember, who was it? I think it was back in 2000. Was it 2011? Or I can't remember when we played France. We had plenty of opportunities to kick a goal, field goal. But I think that's certainly something that our boys need to practice, To?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think you've got to look at the leagues.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And there was a game that the Dragons lost.
Yeah.
And they should have put themselves in the position to take a proper shot at goal, but they didn't. And then they scrambled. And you can't get 1 point by scrambling.
Yeah.
And so it's in the psyche of the league boys that if you're close and the clock's counting down, and you either need a draw to get the extra time or 1 point to win, you go for the 1 point.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it used to be in the psyche of the rugby boys.
Yeah.
I remember my drop goal when I was at intermediate. I had no shoes on, but mate, it was the best looking drop kick to win the game that has ever been seen in South Auckland. And I dine out on that, even to my kids to this day. I'm a rugby player that had never ever scored a try ever in my life.
Right.
And I happened to pop that drop goal for it. I dined down on it for years.
Fair enough, Tony. What makes it interesting?
I will get every one of you fellas on the field. Let's get the ball, and I still, at the age of 58, could pot the bloody drop goal from outside of the 25-yard line. You notice I call it the 25-yard line.
Right. Back in the old days, that's what they used to be called.
Yeah, pre-decimal. He's imperial also in more ways than one.
Always there, bro.
What is interesting, Ra, is the fact that, I remember like 20 years ago, rugby was just full of goal kicks. Maybe even from about 30 years ago, it was just drop kick. There was a lot of kicking, especially in the game of rugby. And it's funny how things have kind of turned when it comes to rugby league. You see them drop kicking a heck of a lot. What do you reckon about that, there, Ra?
Yeah, well, I suppose, you do anything to try and win the game, sadly, but certain rules and rule changes have sort of developed in both codes that have led to, that sort of change a little bit in terms of how the game's played. And, they try and do it for the betterment of the game to make it more entertaining for the spectators. As we've sort of made mention on the show a few times in the past, there are some of these new rules that just need to be thrown out the door, but the powers that be tend to sort of, play around with them. And as I said, it's all for sort of making the game more sort of free-flowing and running. But, I just think, in terms of the ABs, that loss, a loss is always a good thing. I just think they were too complacent, too overconfident, and it showed. And I think they forgot that they were playing the Springboks because, they've beaten Springboks on so many occasions. And being at home here, they probably assumed that it was going to be, if anything, if they were going to, take a win, it would be a close one. But I think they pretty much maybe had it in their heads, the boys are running hot, and it should be a big victory. But somebody forgot to tell the South Africans that, and they sort of pounced on a lot of the AB's mistakes. And, you can't do that because there's a reason that the AB's are also a powerhouse in rugby. But, it's all a learning curve, and let's hope, as I made mention, that loss against the Springboks and the next game after this one, I think the ABs have got it in the bag. Let's have it last through until next year's World Cup.
Well, it'll be interesting if Argentina actually win over there. That would throw a few things in a few things in the bag there, Ra?
Oh, heck yeah, it'll throw a spanner in the works, all right. And, the ABs very well go back to sort of the drawing board. But, I've sort of, I've made it where I don't want to get too sort of carried away with the results this year. I mean, I'd like the ABs, like most Kiwis, to win everything. But, I don't mind chucking a few or losing a few as long as you get it right for the main one. But, that's still a long way to go. So I think the ABs being the ABs are going to go out and try and win every match on the road. And they should have a good victory tomorrow. I think, the Argentinians, if they fluke a win, the whole country, all the rugby fans over there will go wild. But if the All Blacks take a loss, I think, it's going to be interesting.
Now, just very quickly, big ups to the New Zealand Māori under-18 side. They went up. Who did they go up against? They went up against
Barbarians.
Yes. The
not even a rugby
New Zealand Barbarian Schools. Well done, JT. Well done. So they beat them by 1 point. 21-20 was the final score. Big kia ora going out to one of our local boys, Billy Presley, who started in that game. So that's some great news. Just goes to show, our New Zealand Māori under-18s up against the New Zealand Barbarian Schools. A lot of people would say that was kind of an upset. What do you reckon, To?
Oh, look, I think we're being given a misservice by New Zealand Rugby. The people that run the game in regards to Māori Rugby.
Yeah.
I think that they put it on the shelf, so to speak. I remember the days, and I think the days of Eddie Dunn and all those fellas, the Woodman boys, go back further than that, go back to the Goings.
Yes.
In those days, it was such an honour to play for the Māori team.
Yeah.
And not only for the players, but also for the community as well. And I think it's been put down a peg or two by the people that run the game in this country, and a lot of a lot of the rugby has. When you get down to the local level, you get down to what I still consider the second division, the third division. I think that we don't do a hell of a lot to get that inspiration and that community support from the people who are running the game. And that's money, and that's everything. And the Super Rugby has sort of taken precedence, and internationals have taken precedence. And I'd like to see that at least Māori Rugby put on the same level. And have our boys touring around the world like they used to.
Yes.
Yeah, back in the 80s, in the early 80s when they did the tour of Wales and Spain, and that was the last big tour.
Yeah.
I wish our boys would be given an opportunity to do that again.
Yeah. It's a real shame, because even the All Blacks don't have those big tours like how they used to back in those days, do they, To? And you'd think that if we're having the Māori, the New Zealand Māori team, they can certainly be able to go over there, spread the game, and spread Māori rugby around the world, as they did back in those days. I mean, I think certainly we've got the team and the talent pool to do that, eh?
Yeah, if you remember the ovation that George Napier, when he was alive, and he went on, I think it was to
Wales. Yes.
And he walked out on the pitch, and just the whole stadium erupted and gave him a standing ovation. I mean, and that was because of a legacy. Well, you don't get that anymore. You just and it's sad that there's no link to communities anymore when our boys go and play overseas. And I think that's a fine shame.
Yeah.
I think money has certainly played a part in that, and you need money, to send fellas around the world, but you lose something of the link between sport and your communities, whether it's the mining community in Wales or the south of France or down in Ngāti Porou. Ngāti Porou Rugby, East Coast.
Yes.
There used to be a game between Ngāti Porou and Ngāpuhi.
Right. Yes.
And where is that? Why shouldn't we be playing a game every year, home and away, or home 1 year and away the next, between, say, Ngāti Porou and the Taniwha? Not for any other reason than just to get the communities together and make a fun and exciting 1 day of the year for both communities.
True.
That. Instead of the coast always playing Poverty Bay.
Yeah.
Which is basically cousin versus cousin.
Yes, exactly. Which happened incidentally last weekend. Who
won that?
The Poverty Bay. In the dying seconds, it was a draw, 19-all, and Poverty Bay were just able to secure a intercept try by Mario Council, who went on to score and made it 26-19, which was the final score. Otherwise it was a good game, and it was just a real shame because East Coast were winning up until the second half, I think, and it was just it was a close game. Now, your favourite team this weekend, of course, they travel away. They're JT. They're going down to Ashburton to play against Mid Canterbury. That game kicks off at 2:30. Poverty Bay have actually got Thames Valley here at Rugby Park. Also, before that game, our under 18 women's team, they are playing the New Zealand Vault team. I'm not exactly sure what that team consists of, but apparently they've got 5 of our own girls from our region playing in that game. So the first game, the first game kicks off at 12:30 down there at Rugby Park. Poverty Bay under 18s up against New Zealand Vault team, and 2:30 Poverty Bay Heartland team goes up against Thames Valley. Also, another rugby game that's happening that's going to be of a bit of interest, I would say, Waikato up against Southland. That's the Ranfurly Shield. Actually, how did the Auckland won? That's obviously your side, Toe, the Auckland side.
Yeah, we got picked up by Otago last night.
Yes.
I thought the Tāmaki boys, the Auckland boys, they played really, really well in the first half. But again, just some magic by the Otago boys, and I think it was Auckland's first loss of the season.
Right.
So we're still up there, and hopefully we'll just learn from our mistakes, and we'll go on to win the championship, as we should.
Yep. So big good luck to Auckland. What's been happening with Auckland? They especially in particular the Blues. I mean, what's been happening? I know you must be a big, huge Blues fan, eh?
Yeah, mate. You despair. It's a bit like following the bloody Dragons. You got 1 million people up here, but don't forget that 1 million people. They play other sports as well.
Yes.
And I think that I don't think it's the coach's fault. I think I do think that we have let go of players that go to other franchises and do very, very well. And so you've got to ask yourself, well, how are you looking after these players? Who's running the show?
Yeah.
Because there are other franchises like the Hurricanes, like the Chiefs just down the Bombays, who are running their ship in a very, very sort of community-minded manner. But I don't see that with the Blues. I think the Blues organisation has been at fault a lot of the time. And also, I tend to think that the skill level of, say, the Crusaders and the Hurricanes and even the Highlanders is a lot better than up here in Auckland or the Blues team.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hopefully next year with Manu coming back, but even then, I'll always be a Blues supporter.
Yeah.
until the day they win.
They just haven't been getting it together.